By 1967, Chevrolet had the Camaro with 375 horsepower. Ford had the Mustang packing 335 horsepower. Dodge had the Dart with 235 horsepower. That's not a typo. Dodge's entry into the compact muscle car fight was down over 100 horsepower to the competition. Chrysler's engineers said a bigger engine wouldn't fit. A Chicago car dealer named Mr. Norm said they were wrong. He shoved a 440 Magnum into the Dart himself, drove it to Chrysler headquarters, and dared them to say it couldn't be done. They couldn't. And what came next was the most terrifying compact muscle car ever built. This is the story of the Dodge Dart GSS 440. Norman Kraus, known to everyone in the Mopar world simply as Mr. Norm, ran Grand Spalding Dodge on the corner of Grand and Spalding Streets on the northwest side of Chicago. By 1966, Grand Spalding had become the largest high-performance Dodge dealership in the entire country. Mr. Norm wasn't just selling cars, he was building a culture. The dealership had 2 Clayton chassis dynamometers on site, a dedicated high-performance parts department, and a service bay that functioned more like a race shop than a dealer workshop. If you wanted the fastest Dodge in the Midwest, you went to Grand Spalding. If you wanted the fastest Dodge in America, you probably still went to Grand Spalding. But Mr. Norm had a problem. By 1967, every manufacturer had a compact muscle car with serious power, except Dodge. The Charger and Coronet RT were proper performers, but they were full-size cars. The Dart was the compact, and it was woefully underpowered compared to anything from GM or Ford. Mr. Norm went to Chrysler and told them the Dart needed a bigger engine, the 383 big block at minimum. Chrysler's engineers told him it couldn't be done. The engine bay was too small, the chassis wasn't designed for it, and the packaging wouldn't work. Mr. Norm didn't accept that answer. He went back to his shop, and his mechanics pulled the small block out of a Dart GSS and shoehorned a 383 big block in its place. It fit. Not comfortably, but it fit. He drove the car to Chrysler's Highland Park headquarters and showed it to Dodge's general manager, Bob McCurry. McCurry looked at the car, looked at Mr. Norm, and reportedly said, "Look at what the kids from Chicago built." For 1968, the 383 powered Dart GSS became a factory option. Mr. Norm had proven the engineers wrong, and Chrysler had to follow his lead. But 300 horsepower from the 383 still wasn't enough for Mr. Norm. Chevy's redesigned Nova could now fit the 396 as well. The math was simple, Dodge was still outgunned. So Mr. Norm did what he always did. He went bigger. This time, he pulled the 383 out of a Dart and dropped in the 440 Magnum, Chrysler's biggest non-Hemi Phi-8, the same engine found in the Charger RT and Coronet RT. With a 10.1-to-1 compression ratio, a high-profile cam, and a Carter 4-barrel carburetor, the 440 Magnum made 375 horsepower and a staggering 480 pound-feet of torque. In a compact Dart that weighed around 3,300 pounds, those numbers were absolutely absurd. Once again, Mr. Norm took his creation to Chrysler. Once again, they were impressed. A deal was struck. Chrysler would build 440-powered Darts, but only dealers who committed to ordering 50 at a time could sell them. Perhaps not surprisingly, only one dealership in America made that commitment: Grand Spalding Dodge. These 1968 cars were designated the Dart GSS, Grand Spalding Special, and the build process was unlike anything coming off a normal assembly line. Chrysler would build the Dart GSS bodies at the factory, then ship them without an engine, transmission, carburetor, or air cleaner to Hearst Campbell, the same outfit building the legendary Superstock Hemi Darts and Barracudas. At Hearst Campbell, the 440 Magnum and Torque Flight automatic transmission were installed along with heavy-duty motor mounts, special exhaust manifolds, a steering heat shield, and a relocated battery that was moved to the trunk to make room. Just 48 of these 1968 GSS Darts were built. Only 13 are known to exist today. Mr. Norm wasn't done with them even after they left Hearst Campbell. Every GSS that rolled into Grand Spalding Dodge received his patented power tune. His mechanics would strap the car to the dyno, rejet the carburetor, recurve the distributor, then put it back on the dyno to show the customer the power increase. With wider tires out back, The GSS was a capable high 12-second quarter-mile car right off the showroom floor. Prepped for racing, they were running in the tens. Then, in 1969, Chrysler decided to take the 440 Dart mainstream. Sort of. They created the M-code Dart GSS 440, an official factory-built version that any Dodge dealer could sell. The cars rolled through the assembly line in batches from December 1968 through May 1969. The 440 Magnum sat in the Dart's cramped engine bay, with the same 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque, all channeled through the Torque Flight, a 727 3-speed automatic. There was no 4-speed manual option. The clutch linkage simply wouldn't fit alongside the massive engine, and the Donna rear end required to handle a 4-speed's brutal launches wouldn't fit the Dart's A-body platform either. And the compromises didn't stop there. No power steering. There wasn't room in the engine bay. No air conditioning. Same reason. No power brakes on most cars. The battery was still relocated to the trunk. This was a car built for one purpose and one purpose only. Point it straight and hang on. And hang on you would. Drag Racing magazine tested the 1969 GSS 440, and after swapping the stock E70/14 tires for something wider, they ran a 12.7-second quarter-mile at 112 miles per hour. Other publications recorded 0 to 60 times in the low 5-second range, with trap speeds over 107 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, a 1969 Camaro SS 396 was running in the low 14 to high 13-second territory. A 1969 Mustang Mach 1 with the 428 Cobra Jet was in the low 13s. The Dart GSS 440 was matching or beating both of them, and it was doing it from a car that looked like your grandmother's grocery getter from the outside. That was the genius and the absurdity of the M-code Dart. It wore the same humble Dart body as every 6-cylinder commuter car on the road. Same boxy proportions, same modest footprint. The only visual giveaways were the bumblebee stripe across the rear, the dual exhaust tips, and the subtle GSS badges. Pull up next to a Camaro at a red light, and nobody would give you a second look. Then the light would turn green. Here's one of the strangest details about the GSS 440. Dodge never even listed the 440 engine option in their sales brochures. The brochure showed the 340 as the standard GSS engine and the 383 as the optional upgrade. The 440 wasn't advertised at all. You had to know about it. You had to ask for it. It was a factory-built sleeper that the factory itself barely acknowledged. Chrysler built just 640 M-code 440 Dart GSS cars for 1969. 3,645 got the 340, 1,912 got the 383, but only 640 received the 440 Magnum, and that was it. The 440 Dart was a one-year-only offering. By 1970, Dodge and Plymouth had released the Challenger and the redesigned Barracuda, the big E-body platforms that were purpose-built to accept large engines without all the compromises the Dart required. The GSS 440 was no longer necessary, but those 640 cars and the 48 GSS cars that came before them remain some of the most fearsome compact muscle cars ever to leave a factory floor. Today, verified M-code GSS 440s sell for upwards of $80,000 at auction, and the 1968 GSS cars, with only 13 known survivors, command serious collector attention. The M-code can be identified by the 5th digit in the VIN, which separates the real ones from the tributes. The Dodge Dart TS440 exists because one car dealer in Chicago refused to accept the word impossible. Mr. Norm saw what Chrysler's own engineers couldn't or wouldn't, and he built it himself, twice. First with the 383, then with the 440. Both times, Chrysler had to follow his lead. The result was a compact muscle car that could destroy Camaros and Mustangs in a straight line, while wearing the most unassuming body in Dodge's entire lineup. No power steering, no air conditioning, no brochure listing, just 375 horsepower, 480 pound-feet of torque, and a prayer that the tires would hold. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen an M-code GSS 440 in person, because with only 640 ever built, The odds are slim, but thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Until next time, enthusiasts.